Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. This is just going to be a short video, a bit of spoilers, but not really spoilers. So don't worry if about the spoilers. It's not a spoiler, really. I'm going to just quickly give you my impressions of the first She-Hulk show, I guess, TV series. So basically, I watched it on Thursday. That was when it came out. And it was disappointing, I'd have to say, because if you watch my channel, you'll know that I really don't like the whole woke agenda kind of thing. And I know I'm going to get flack every time I mention woke. People freak out. They get all excited. Oh no, he's going to talk bad about the woke. It's just, I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to explain it by showing a couple things and explain why why I don't like it. Okay, so in the She-Hulk series, it starts off with her basically doing like a presentation, practicing her lawyer pitch, because at the end of any trial, there's always the closing arguments, and basically she was practicing that speech. So you have a paralegal and another lawyer. The paralegal is a woman, the other lawyer is a man, and they're watching this. And the female paralegal goes, "Oh, you're so awesome! You're so great! You're the best!" Like the typical thing. You gotta tell the women that they're the best. You gotta tell the women that they're the most special. And then the man is like, "Oh, there's some weakness here, and maybe I should do the closing arguments because and he tries to give some explanation. And then the two women just dogpile on him, kick him out of the room, like treat him like he's like a total like scum of the earth, and just kick him out. And it felt so forced. Just that opening scene. That was the opening scene. So it felt so forced against, like the patriarchy and blah blah blah. It's like, so that was the first impression. You always have to try to make a good first impression. Well, that was their first impression, and it was not good. So and there's other scenes in it where she's always better than the Hulk. The Hulk's training her on how to be a Hulk, and she's better than him. My blood makes people heal. I can do this better than you. I can do this better than you. I just learned it today, but I'm better than you already. It's like, so painful. And that happens a lot in the show. And then there was some humor that I actually enjoyed. I would give the show like a 5 or 6 out of 10. Really, that's my feeling about it. And there was like one of the scenes that really, really bothered me, and I see memes about this on online, where they basically say, Hulk is like talking to her about controlling her anger, because he's gone through it. He's lived that whole experience of having to control his anger, because when he becomes the Hulk, he was dangerous. He could destroy the world. That's the level of the Hulk. And so he really had to cope with his anger and controlling it and making, peace with himself. And, day one, she's like, well, I know how to control my anger 2 million times or billion times more than you, you dumb man. It's like that, that kind of level. And it's just like, man, really? The Hulk, it was just so insulting and so demeaning. Like I mentioned this before, in a lot of the woke culture, the way that they think of power as being something where there's only a certain amount of power, and the only way you can get power is to take power away from somebody else. So if there's a male character that has power, the way you get your power is you take that power and give it to the female character. And now the female character has power. It's like, it's a zero-sum game in their mind. And that's what they do. So they'll demean the male character in order to power up the female character. And it just comes across as really disrespectful. Here he is, he's training her, he's trying to help her. And instead of taking that as a positive and the whole time she's just complaining about him and putting him down. And it's just insulting. Like I come from a judo, background. I'm a black belt in judo, but even when I was getting my black belt, or when I even got my black belt, I would always show respect to the higher belts. And even if they, said something wrong or did something which I didn't believe was good, I would still treat with them with respect, and I would, not diss them and make them look like an idiot in front of them, in front of the students or something like that. I wouldn't, degrade them just to make myself feel better, and that's what it kind of feels like. It's just very disrespectful the way she treats him. And yeah, so that's one thing that really bothers me. Another thing that I have to say about the show, and this is another thing that really drives me crazy about this whole woke agenda stuff, is in the comics. I mean, the comics are actually quite good. I recommend the comics. Okay, read the comics; they're good. There's a scene where she gets her powers. Okay, in the origin of She-Hulk, is she's in a car accident, a horrible car accident, and the only one that can save her is her cousin. He gives her blood, but his blood is contaminated with, the Hulk thing, and she recovers. He basically saves her with his blood. And that, you can't have that in the woke agenda, because, a man saving a woman, oh my goodness, that would be terrible. So the way that they do it in the series is they get into a car accident, and she rescues the Hulk. It's like so painful. She rescues the Hulk from this burning car, and his blood, drips onto her open wound, and so therefore she gets the power of the Hulk. So, instead of her being saved by him, she has to be the one saving him. It's just that kind of thing. It's just like, they can't have men looking good at any point. They just have to constantly just put men down. And, it's so annoying. You can feel like it was written by a woman with a cat. I'm not sure if you know that reference, but I just see it as like a cat lady kind of writer maybe involved. And I just feel like that really sums up the She-Hulk series. That I'm worried that it's going to continue like that. Yeah, it's very disappointing. But I kind of wanted to leave on a positive note. And the positive note is, actually, I want to quickly kind of mention one thing about the Sandman. And there was a scene in the Sandman, one of the episodes, I think it's episode 6. I believe it's episode 6. You can correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong about this. But it's the one where he's meeting the man who lives forever. And he basically, it's like 12th century England. He's in a bar or pub, for my British friends out there, pub. And there's a scene where he basically meets this man who's going to live forever. And the guy is babbling about how, I'd love to live forever, blah, blah. And the Sandman and Death are sort of watching this and laughing. They think, if a man lives forever, he'll go insane. He'll hate it. Okay? So he basically grants that wish that this man has to live forever. And so the man is going to live forever. He can't die. And the Sandman walks over to him and says, hey, I'll meet you at this bar or pub 100 years from now, and we can sort of do that every 100 years. And that's what they do. They meet every 100 years. And they basically Sandman's expecting each 100 years to see the man say, oh, please let me die, I don't want to live anymore. He's expecting that. But every time the man, he's going through, because he's living so long, he actually has a lot of success. He becomes like rich. he becomes a lord, he gets all this wealth. And so, Sandman asks, are you happy, and the man says, yes, this living is awesome. And like, it's just, he's so hopeful and happy. And then the next time Sandman sees him, 100 years later, the guy is just like, he looks terrible. He's like all disheveled. They won't even let him in the bar at the pub at first. And it's like, he's like really sketchy looking. And, the Sandman has to say, oh, he's with me, don't worry. Let him in. And this guy comes in, he's like all like kind of mangled looking. And it's just because he was, accused of being a witch. He lost all of his wealth. His wife left him or died or something bad happened to them. They lost their child in birth. It's just like all these horrible things happened to him. And so Sandman's like, finally. The guy's going to say, I hate life, give me death, grant me, freedom from life, all that kind of stuff. And the man says, so the Sandman asks, are you happy? How do you feel about living forever? And the man's like, yeah, I'm so keen on living. It can only get better from here. It can only do better. And that one scene, that one moment in Sandman, for me, was the best TV I've seen in 5 years. I don't know. That one scene. And the reason I liked it so much is it's something that has been missing. Because of all this woke stuff, I realized that one thing that's missing with all this woke messaging is hope. And I could tell that scene, that whole scene of this 100-year thing was written 30, 40 years ago. Just because, about 30 years ago, yeah. And the reason I can tell that is attitudes have really changed. People have become so pessimistic, so sad lately, that they don't have any sense of hope and joy of life. And I think it's really important that we regain that. And that's my message for you, the comic community. I hope that we can be hopeful again. And hope that the next She-Hulk episode is much better than the previous one. So that's my message. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.